Hi, I'm Jessica Ney, and I teach 8th grade history here at Excelsior Academy. I'm going to be talking about building positive relationships with students today. If you get a second, please pause the video and read through our Touchstone standards. I will be coming back to the highly effective and effective ones in just a moment. So first I want to talk about why positive student-teacher relationships are important. They are critical for helping a student receive academic, behavioral, and emotional success in your classroom, especially in middle school. One study that I read showed that strong supportive relationships with teachers have significant positive links to student engagement and achievement in that subject. When a student feels like their teacher likes them, they show higher motivation, self-efficacy, and academic performance in that class. And students who sense a lack of support, they're more prone to act out and disengage in a classroom. Teachers can help provide a secure base for students to confidently explore learning and handle school stresses. Also helps them to develop self-esteem and social skills in a classroom where they feel safe. A safe environment and positive relationships can help a student be more receptive to feedback, to corrections that you have to make. And the benefits are most notable in the students who are often labeled as tough students, students who have behavioral or emotional challenges. And so having a positive relationship can help protect at-risk youth from poor engagement or low achievement in the classroom. Plus, there's a bonus. It's going to make your life as a teacher a lot easier to have those positive relationships. You'll find that students buy into your expectations a lot easier when you have a good relationship with them. Take a minute, pause the video, and write down or just think about a teacher that you had who had an impact on you growing up. What did they do to make you feel seen or valued? Think about how that impacted your work ethic in their class or your attitude or behavior in that class. And did it leave an impact on your life? And what was one impact it had on shaping you to the person that you are today? I reached out to a few friends who are outside of the realm of education because I know, like, as educators, we know the cookie cutter answers to these questions, what we're looking for. And it was neat to see the responses. A lot of them had, their teachers had similar characteristics. And the one that stood out most to me came from a friend of mine who was kind of seen as a troublemaker growing up. He got in with the wrong crowd and actually didn't graduate from high school. He got his GED later on. He would skip school often, but he had a teacher who he remembered, and he answered right away. It was Mr. LeClaire, his 8th grade social studies and basketball coach. And he stated that that was the one class he did not skip. It didn't matter what they were doing. He'd weigh his options. Okay, I can go to science, I can go to math, I can go to all these other classes. I'll just go to Mr. LeClaire's classes because he felt welcome there. He felt like that was somewhere he belonged. According to him, he said that Mr. LeClaire treated everyone equal. He showed the same respect to the kid that talked a lot as he did to the kid that didn't say a word. He held us to high expectations. He treated the most popular kid and the least popular kid the same. The best player on the team and the worst player on the team were treated with the same amount of respect. He didn't show favoritism, even though I think a lot of us thought we were his favorite. I think I was one of his favorites. He took the time to talk to me and listen to what I had to say after practice or after class. He spoke to us like we were people, not just dumb kids. Even though he was very stern on how he ran his class and practices and expected a lot out of us, he was fair about getting us there. He knew how to challenge each student differently to reach them differently. He was just a kind person. As I went through my own teachers, same thing. They held us to high expectations, but generally they were kind and caring, and I felt like they did like me and they cared about me. These are the two that came to my mind from my own life. First was Mrs. Lundell. She taught 3rd grade. She taught me in 3rd grade. And Mrs. Lundell had so much patience. She was always so kind and caring to me. I always felt like I belonged in her class, even though I'm pretty sure I gave her a run for her money. I was the kid that made making the seating chart very hard. I did not maliciously act out. However, I liked to talk, and I made friends with everybody in class. So it didn't matter who she sat me by, and even if they tried to shush me, I would still talk to them. In fact, she had a Dennis the Menace the board, and I was on it every single day, and I received several black marks on it every day, and each black mark meant I had to stay after class and clean the classroom for 5 minutes per mark. Usually I'd end up pretending to pick up the floor and crawling out the door and leaving, but she didn't get mad at me when I came back the next day. It was a fresh start. She was kind, she was accepting. She acted like I still belonged in that class. And so I showed up and I tried my best in her class. I remember struggling with multiplication facts for a little while, and she just encouraged me to keep trying, and she showed so much faith in me that I did my best to learn those so I could prove to her that I could do it. She passed away last year, and in her obituary it said that Mrs. Lundell, or Linda, was a creative and caring teacher who saw potential in each student. I think all of us who went through her class in 3rd grade felt that she thought we were all potential of achieving the highest success possible. Another one is Mr. Houghton. He taught me in 6th and 7th grade for English, or ELA, and I was his TA in 7th grade as well. The only picture I could find of him online was from a long time ago. My grandpa was actually the principal who hired him, and they were really good friends later on in life, and so I actually saw him a few times as an adult, and he always wanted to catch up to see what I was doing. He cared about my life even after I was long gone from the middle school doors in Payson. Mr. Houghton created a classroom where everybody was loved. Everybody was cared for. And when we walked in those doors, the social hierarchy of middle school went away. There was no popular kid. There was no weird kid. We were all free to express our opinions without judgment. And as a history teacher, I teach subjects that sometimes require opinions, and opinions that are different. And I want my students to express their thoughts. And so I've tried very, very hard to emulate that in my classroom, where a student can feel like they can express an opinion that someone else might not agree with without being judged, and to feel that respect in my class. And that stems a lot from how Mr. Houghton treated his classes. He also taught me the importance of setting goals and working hard to improve in my life. When I was in 6th grade, I received, so every year at the end of the year, he would do, he'd give everyone a reward, and my reward was most improved. And I was kind of downtrodden by that. What do you mean most improved? Was I really bad at this when the class started? Am I not good enough? But as I came up to accept my prize, I was, again, a little upset that I didn't get a better prize. He talked about how I started school that year as a good writer, but now I was a great writer. I had improved so much that sometimes some of the things I wrote blew him away. And that changed my outlook. Instead of thinking, oh, I just wasn't good enough and I just improved, I learned that improvement was a good thing, that I might be good at something, but there's always, I can do better. And that's a practice I've put into my life all throughout high school, college, and as an adult throughout my career. And a lot of that stems back to Mr. Houghton. When I looked at everybody's responses to that question on which teacher impacted you the most and why, these are some of the common factors that they had. They were caring, they were kind, they were fair, they were inclusive and encouraging, welcoming, they set high expectations, they were respectful, they made students feel valued, they were motivating, they used positive reinforcement. I'm sure the list could go on and on. But as I made this list, I realized that a lot of them, these words and these characteristics, they align with our effective and highly effective goals as teachers at Excelsior Academy. We build strong, respectful, and trusting relationships with all students. We demonstrate care, fairness, and encouragement. We create a classroom where students feel safe, valued, motivated. We use positive reinforcement, active listening. We help them feel comfortable approaching us. We create an inclusive and welcoming classroom culture. So I'm pretty sure the teacher that you thought of that came to your mind would have fallen into this category as well. We use CHAMPS at Excelsior, and CHAMPS definitely can help build relationships as a proactive behavior management, not just about routines. It's about creating a positive classroom culture where students feel safe, valued, and respected. They prevent behavior problems before they start, increase student motivation and engagement, make students more receptive to correction and feedback, and lead to academic growth and emotional safety. Let's talk about the tough kids for a minute. They're the ones who need connection most, but sometimes seek it in the least productive ways. The lack of positive professional relationship makes it hard to correct behaviors. It ends up feeling like a power struggle between you and the student. And so having that professional relationship, a positive professional relationship, can balance that out and help that student feel more welcome and engaged in your class. Remember that students sometimes act out in response to something that's going on in their life outside of school, and that to keep that in mind can help you treat these students with a little bit more care and empathy. A big important thing is to build trust in your classroom. It fosters respect and kindness. Helps. So if you're able to foster respect and kindness, recognize and appreciate their efforts, use active listening, establish those clear and high expectations, and then show them that they're capable of reaching those expectations. Be consistent, be a model of honesty and reliability yourself, give them an opportunity to voice their opinions, share some personal information about yourself appropriately. It creates that human interaction, and show empathy to that student. They'll show it back. I've seen that in class. If you respect them, they respect you. If you show empathy to them, they will have empathy to you. They'll see you as a human being, not just a robot teacher out there trying to force them to learn something. Building trust reduces escalations. It creates a buy-in for expectations. It helps reframe school or your classroom as a place that they belong. And it helps them feel open to constructive criticism and any feedback that you need to give. There's always pitfalls. Try to avoid taking misbehaviors personally. Start over every day if you need to with certain students. Avoid sarcasm, public admonitions, or labels. Not all middle school age students understand sarcasm. Also, someone once told me that sarcasm is an indirect way to reveal the truth about how you feel about someone. So that can create some negativity in the classroom if they catch on to that. Don't wait for students to earn your kindness. Just lead with respect. Some strategies that you want to use to build relationships in your class. If you'd like to pause the video and write some down. I'm just going to move on to some ways you can do that. Learn their names and use their names. Greet them at the door or greet them at the beginning of class. Have class rituals to help foster community or a shared purpose and a sense of belonging. You can do get-to-know-you activities, especially at the beginning of the year. You can use human bingo or interest surveys. There's lots of examples you can find online or ask other teachers in the school. Celebrate their wins, even the small wins, and praise any efforts that they give. Use chants language as positive reinforcement. Thank you for meeting conversation levels during group work. I really appreciate that. Use positive emails. We have postcards at school that we use, or phone calls home, especially for the kids that rarely get them, or the really quiet kids. They appreciate them as well. And then just treat them respectfully. They are humans. They want to be treated like humans. They'll reciprocate that respect. The postcards, some people don't like to do them, but I love them. I sent one home to a student who he'd kind of been a little disengaged in class. I'd heard that he was a problem in other classes. He hadn't been a problem in my class yet. And I was just looking for something positive. And I sent home a postcard once when he participated in a debate really well in my class. And his mom emailed me back and just said that it meant so much to him and to their family that he received that, because he didn't get that positive praise very often. It took one postcard. The little things matter. After that, I never had a problem with him in class, even though I know he got sent to the office a lot with rad forms in other classes. He even complained about it to me one time, and I tried to give him pointers on how to be more respectful in other classes, but he was always on task. He made sure that his other friends who were tough kids were on task. He even took on extra responsibilities, got other kids involved in those extra responsibilities, and if he did get off task, all it took was one little warning or a look from me, and he shaped right up with an apology. Little things like that matter. Some things to avoid. Don't over-identify with students or try to be their friend or peer. Don't ignore boundaries. Boundary crossing in the sake of making a connection. Remember that your attention is a reward. Distribute it amongst all students. Don't let a bad day define relationships. Reset every single day. Take just a few minutes to answer these questions in a journal or piece of paper or in your mind. Some steps that you're going to take to create connections with students this year. How you might handle tough students and what you can do to build a connection with them, and what whole class routines that you have or that you will create to help foster a classroom culture. Thank you.